Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome everybody here present and online also who is following us today in this rainy morning. Our main topic today will be mental health and mental toughness. And I believe that everyone following sports after 2021 Tokyo Olympics, mental health and mental toughness among sports became a main focus. And in the light of that, we organized this webinar where we will have three fantastic presenters talking about mental toughness and how we can improve our sports through mental techniques. First of all, I would like to introduce Fabio Fossati, who is a great presenter. We had opportunities to hear about him before. He is our mental coach of Ratgeber Academy, also FIBA Europe instructor, and right now he's also a mental coach of Virtus Bologna. And please give a round of applause to Fabio. Come on, Fabio.
It's a great pleasure to be here with you. So, and in this event, we are speaking about something different, because as a coach, every time we are focused a lot on the technique. And the technique is a very important thing for us, because if we don't have the knowledge of technique, we can teach basketball in this case. But, so if you see the title of this event is arms, legs, or anything more. We are focused on anything more. Because if we have some knowledges about to transmit our knowledges in the best way, for sure, we can be a really good coach. And I want to tell you in advance how is my thought. If we want to be the best coaches for our player, we must be in advance before the best coach for ourselves. And for this reason, I think to know something about the mental training can be a very important support for our job. I want to tell you something, why I decided in my career to change focus on my job. I have been professional player for 20 years in first division, and also coaches for 25 years before in the men team and after in the female team. And I had some results, but I made 1,000 mistakes in my life. And in a moment of my life, I asked to myself, why? And I decided to change because I would like to know how could make better my job. And for this reason, I try to study. I go to the state, getting a certification as a mental coach. In advance, I tell you, I don't like mental coach words, because when we speak about the mental people, sometimes they are in trouble because the mental, and they say, hey, I'm not crazy. But this people think about mental coach. I'm a mental coach. And I'm studying since 10 years, try to learn what does it mean to be a total coach. And so, this is my career, but I want to start with this slide. I don't know if you know this man. This man, this year during the Olympic Games, is Italian. The name is Marcel Jacobs. He won the gold medal. And it's been great for Italy because he's the fastest, the quicker man in the world. And after the Olympic Games, people made an interview about him. And he said, okay, I work a lot, and I spend a lot of time on the technique, on the physical preparation. But my performance changed when I met a mental coach. And from that moment, in my country, in Italy, happened unbelievable thing, because all people start to speak about the coaching, the mental coaching, and about me. I receive, I don't know, in a week, maybe 50 proposals to work as a mental coach. Unbelievable, unbelievable. But so, if you read the story of the great players or the great athletes in Olympic Games, always in an interview, they spoke how has been very important, not just work on the technique, on the physical, but working on the mental training, with the mental training. And today, we are going to see something. The mental training is a very tough job, because when you work for improving a physical skill, you need, for example, 6 months if you want to improve the strength, if you want to improve in the basketball, the shoot, the dribble. Okay, you must dedicate a lot of the time. That is the same when if you decide to work on the mental training. Hey, you can't do just I don't know, one practice about the mental training, and you can think that you resolve all troubles. No, absolutely. The mental training is a long walk. The same job that we use to improve our physical skill, technical skill. We must understand that, and we must focus on that. Working by mental training, the athletes improve their performance. This is our goal, but they grow up also with the fun, also their personal gratification. And as I already said, and I want to tell it again, working on the mental training, working on the mental program, we must dedicate the same time that we used to dedicate in our job as a coach, but not just in the basketball, but in the whole sport. And why? Because we need very strong athletes, This is a part of our job. Okay, I want to tell you in advance. So, as I said at the beginning, coaches are too much focused on their technical knowledges. That is great. But sometimes what happens? So we focus on the technique knowledges, and we try to teach something, and we realize that our player, they have trouble because maybe they make the mistake. They go on making the mistake, and we don't know why. And sometimes we said, hey, our players are not so good. But maybe there is a little mistake in ourselves, because maybe we aren't so able to transmit in the right way our knowledges. And here we can speak, for example, about the communication. It's very important to have a good a good idea about the communication. After Bonnie and Anetta will speak about the communication. That if, as a coach, we realize that it's very important to grow up, not just about the technical knowledge, but also to know something else, okay, it's great. It's great. You see here, there is some question. And I use this question when I have the approach with the coaches. The first question is, how much time do you dedicate for preparing a competition? The answer is, for example, okay, some coaches say, hey, we work 10 hours a week. And how much time you dedicate about your physical training? I don't know, maybe 3 hours a week. And now is the very step important for me here, because I said, but in a game, how much is important the strong mentality? And always the answer is, hey, is very important. And also if you follow, for example, some interview of the coaches, soccer coaches, basketball coaches, at the end of the game, and if this coach lost the game, and he used to say, hey, our opponent were stronger than us, not just technically, but also they have more mentality. They are stronger in their mind. But what does it mean? And how much you dedicate about mental training? And after this question, people answer, we don't know how is to work on the mental training, and we don't have time, and so we must do a lot of the things, and they don't realize it's very important to dedicate time to work on the training mentality. During a day, during a week, players are sometimes in a difficult situation. So, and because maybe in their life outside the sport, they are living troubles with the family, with I don't know, with the parents. So, and in this period, their performance can be not so good. And for this reason, we can help them. We can help them to go on. We can help them to have a good result. But how? How? Okay, I want to tell you something very important. Okay, in my job as a mental coach, I don't like too much to have a position between the coach and the players. My mission, great word, my mission is to help the coaches and the player, they don't know that the coaches are working with a mental coach. And my mission is to help the coach to understand that, as I said, very important to have the knowledge, technical knowledge, but it's very important how to help the player when this player are in the trouble. That is our job. And so many times, okay, players miss the trust, miss confidence, and we must work with them. Okay, it's very important. This is a step very important because as a coach, we must realize that. So, the most important thing is the relationship that we build with our athletes. It's important in the basketball 1-3-1 zone defense, pick and roll. But the most important thing is the relationship that we have with our players. Okay, you see 3 superstar athletes. Bolt. His story is great because before his performance, great performance, so he used to work 4 months in using some mental exercise to be ready to go into their performance. This one, Michael Jordan worked with Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, you know, is a maestro zen because he worked a lot with the mindfulness. His mental coach was George Mumford. George Mumford wrote down a book, very important book. The Strong Mentality. And during the interview after the last title with the Chicago, Jordan said, okay, it's been very important for us because George Mumford helped us and our coach during the final. The other team preparing the game in the gym. We preparing the game in our bedroom meditating. Psst, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Last one is Cristiano Ronaldo. Here just with the uniform of the Juventus. This player work a lot about his technique, about a lot his body, but is very important, has been very important. He has got a great mental coach that help him to be ready. I think he's one of the best soccer players. He is more than 35 years, but he's great. But his great is mentality. And mentality, you can build a mentality. You can build a mentality step by step, working a lot, as I said, not just focusing on the technique, but focusing on your mind. Focusing, giving time to see how will be your performance. There is an exercise, and we are going to see. The name is visualization. Visualization is the best exercise in the world because with the visualization we can build a film, our film, and we see in our film our performance in the maximum situation. It's normal. We have this skill inside, but we forgot. We forgot. And in the sport, for example, visualization is one of the best absolute exercise. As I already said, but many athletes, many coaches don't work about the mental training. Why? Because they don't know. Okay, during the pandemic, I'm sure in Hungary, but in all countries in Europe, there were a lot of the webinars. And in all the webinar, people spoke about the technique. Never they spoke about the mental training. Never. Because the people don't know. Don't know this is the right way to reach the results. And to be here for me is great. because I tried to send a message, because as I said, okay, I did a lot of the mistake in my life, because if in advance I could know something about the mental training, probably I wasn't here with you. I was in the Seychelles playing golf. So, but I did it. And also I asked myself, why? Maybe I could win, I don't know, more title, but I didn't have a good relationship with my players, with my girls. And I lived the games with a great anxiety. And because I didn't know how to manage my anxiety. And if you have anxiety, if you are in the bench, hey, you transmit your anxiety to your player. It's very important to check your body language. Your body language is very, very important. How many times you see during the mistake, coach? I saw also yesterday during the game, hey, because the mistake, the coach, they have the reaction, the better reaction against the player. But it's normal. It's normal if you don't know that with this reaction, sometimes you can build a troubles for your player. Because your player, when they make a mistake, they know that they made a mistake. And they don't need a coach that, hey, you did this mistake. Why? Blah, blah, blah. They need a person that says, okay, you did a mistake. But now, it's normal to make the mistake. Go on and give the right suggestion how what we can do. And don't focus just on the mistake. Okay, here there is a list when we work in the right way, dedicating times in mental training. So these are a good goal, a good result. For example, the player, they are more confident in themselves. They know how to check the emotion. They have a better communication. I already spoke about the communication. Communication is one of the most important things, not just in the sport, but in all the life. If you have a good communication, your life is great. It's great. It's great. A positive imaging, positive focus. For example, what happened? So it's a typical for a lot of the player. When the player make the mistake, the first idea is always the same. Okay, I made this mistake. I always make this mistake. Why? And he goes on think the mistake, and how is the situation? In the next action, for sure, he will make the same mistake. He will make the same mistake. So, using the mental training, we give them some solution to forget the mistake, but before forgetting, to accept the mistake. Because if I accept the mistake, okay, I can do something to improve. And for example, in the mindfulness, the most important rules is to think that now we are here now. We don't think about the past, we don't think about the future. It's very simple, so just a word. But back there is a long job, a long period of spending time to realize, to have the idea that the most important thing is now, here. When we make the mistake, we must forget the mistake right now. And we don't think about what happened in the future. We must go on. We must go on. So as I already said, very easy speaking, but it's not so easy. We must work a lot. That means to be a complete coach, a coach 360 degrees. Because, believe me, the difference between a great coach is just in this detail. In my opinion, there aren't good coach or the bad coach. There are some coaches that are interested, and some coaches that aren't interested. But at the end, the coaches that are interested to grow up, probably are the coaches that they will have the results. They have the result. This is normal. This is normal. If, as a coach, I'm just happy because I know something and I think that my knowledges are enough to work, and I like to stay in my comfort situation, okay, probably I will have some result. But it will be very difficult to grow up. The difference between the interested coach and not interested coach is to go out of our comfort zone. And sometimes going out, for sure, we make a mistake, but we must accept the mistake. So because without the mistake, we can't grow up. And many times we are afraid because we are in comfortable situation, because we know exactly how is your job. But we have just an idea how is your job. But our job is the great. The big mistake, for example, is when a coach, after the winning season, he can think my system is the best system. When the coach starts to think that his system is the best system, okay, believe me, he starts to fail. Because you have to adapt your system with your players. You have to change. For changing, you have to go out from your comfort zone. Okay, we go on. We have player more determined. And for sure, when the player has good confidence, good imagined by himself, good folks. For sure, this player can have a good performance. When a player has a good performance, building in himself, his confidence, and also enjoyed for himself, and he likes too much to come in the gym, working tough, and go on. Okay, one of the most important things is when we try to teach the mental training and to put our player in self-regulation. If you work for a long period, they will be ready, they will know how to work when for example, they are in some trouble situation. As I said, it's a long period because in their career, for example, if they know how to work, okay, they reach the self-regulation. This is our job. Okay, we must be close to the player always. But after the player must go on alone. And this is one of our goals. And sometimes some players don't realize that they are living a bad moment. So they don't have the awareness, and they aren't conscious, and we can help them. But if we help them, okay, we give them the support, and they understand after, and they will be ready in the future to work for themselves. I hope to be clear. If I have a question after, please, now, think something about the question, because what happened during the clinic. So just I'm speaking, I do not speak about the technique. I'm speaking about this, about the mental training. And I know the people or person have a question. But at the end of the clinic, okay, there is a question time. And say, anyone have the question? No one has a question. But at the end of the clinics, and then when the people are going away, someone keep me and say, hey, coach, you can tell, hey, if you have a question, it's a question very important, not just for you, but for all people. Hey, don't be shy, please. Don't be shy. Okay, here is the list of the goal that we can reach working on the mental training. Leadership, communication, goal setting, motivation, anxiety management, anxiety, concentration, confidence, trust, visualization. So, as I said before, Bonnie and Anett, in the next section, they are going to speak about this situation. I want to speak just about the leadership, because I like very much this, this argument. Okay. People think the leader is a chief. This is not true. Absolutely. Absolutely. The leader is a man or the woman that help the people around him and her to grow up. There is a great difference between the leader and the manager, because the manager, they work on the number. The manager work on the budget. The manager work on money. The leader work on the ideas. In the world, the great company, they are spending around 50 billion euro to build manager with the leadership. It's unbelievable. But doesn't mean that in the moment we have a great crisis about the leadership. Because sometimes in a leadership, no, sometimes in leadership is the situation that help the people to grow up, to reach their goal. And many people, many managers, many CEO, they fail in their career because they are focused just on the goals. But they don't think that to reach the goals, they must work with the person, we must give the motivation to the person with them, around them. This is the right system. What does it mean in a basketball? Okay, if we want to have success as a coach, we must realize that our players are the most important person for us. And we must put them in the best condition to reach their goals. Remembering them that the team goals are the most important absolute things, but they must have the personal goal, and the personal goal is very important, and we must work to help them to reach their personal goal. This is an idea under the leadership. Now, the means of the leadership is changing because people till 3 or 4 years ago think that the leader was in the height of the pyramid. Now, the great idea is to transmit the leadership to the other people. For example, there is a great situation in New Zealand. In New Zealand, for sure, you know, there is the All Blacks team, the rugby team, the best team in the world. So they have 87% of victory. And what happened in the last year? The management, the coaches transmit the leader to the player. What does it mean? Okay, the coaches decide the program, but this program during the week are the player that decide what they must do. And before the games, you know, for example, as a coach, we always have the meeting, speaking about our idea, speaking about the job. Now, in All Blacks team, before the game, just the players are alone in the locker room, and they decide the strategy. But what does it mean? The management transmit the leadership to the player, not to the old player, to the best player, to the older player. That is great. This is not just in the sport, but also is in the business, is the company. A company can work if the leader, the man in charge, has the ability to transmit his leadership to the person around him. Well, the characteristics of the leader is the personality. And also, as a leader, we must know, we must have knowledge. We must have the concept of skill. What does it mean? So, if I know perfectly my job, but I must know how to transmit my knowledge. This is a trouble, because many times, as a coach, we know everything, but we have trouble to transmit our knowledge, and our team play bad. So I like to go around watching some practice for the youth coaches, and sometimes, because I like to understand why they are doing, for example, this drill, and sometimes, believe me, I don't understand nothing. And at the end of the practice, I speak to the coaches and say, hey, please tell me, what are you doing? And I was very surprised, because this coach, young coach, he knows everything, because he spent money following cleaning, following the video, but his team played bad, because he doesn't have the ability to transmit his knowledge. We are speaking about the communication. And if I know that I have this problem, okay, I work on this problem. Okay, now I want to tell you something about my new job. As Anita said, since this year I'm working as a mental coach in Virtus Bologna. Virtus Bologna is, at the moment, the best team in Italy. They are the champion, and so they have a lot of great players. So this is a different structure in how to work in a gym. So I'm a old coach, and in my idea, and also I think also is your idea, and also when I was player, okay, how was my daily schedule? Practice in the morning, individual practice, and after break, and after in afternoon, practice with the team. So here is completely different situation, because the players are available from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. And every days, players have the different individual schedule. So, and this schedule change every day. Okay, they are in the sports center 9 o'clock. From 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, they have breakfast together. From 10 to 11, they work on the individual skill with all the physiotherapy, or just they work with me. They work with the coaches about on the shoot, about the basic. From 11 to 12, they work with the whole team. Is team practice. 1 hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours, no more. From 1 to 2, they go on to work on the individual skills. The stuff is the big stuff, because there are the head coach and 6 assistant coach, and 1 assistant coach must follow 2 players, but not just follow 2 players in the practice, because they have a complete day, giving them information, show them movie, personal movie, show them, because also there are the 2 different coaches for the offense, for the defense. And this is very important, because the player in this period in the sports center in a day, they have all the information. At the 2 o'clock they finish and they have the lunch together, and at 3 o'clock they are free. When I speak about that for some different person, my friend, and they are very surprised, because they say, but just 1 practice. No. The practice on the team is from 11 to 1. But the hour before, they work individual, and the hour after, the same. And so, this is a great idea, but it's an MBA structure. And I'm sure just few people, few teams works here. And so it's very important, because, for example, you see player number 5, we put just the number, so is the best point guard. You see, we have time of the mental coach. And everything in, let me see if, okay, you see. For example, let me see. No, sorry. This one is Marco Bellinelli. Marco Bellinelli is an individual schedule, and also this one, the number 9, is Milos Teodosic, and they follow every day. This is great. This is just an information for you, because okay, maybe in this structure, maybe it's possible to build this structure, this system. But as I said, the stuff is a big stuff, and the Virtus Bologna is the only team in Italy that they had an idea to work with the mental coach. It's the only team. Great for me, because it's been a great thing for me. But so just that, because the other, and also some players in this team, they had already a personal mental coach. But what does it mean to work, for example, with this player? Okay, when they ask me, okay, are you able to work in our team? So, but my first question is, but what? can I tell to Milos or to Bellinelli? They can teach me, I can something, and I can learn from them. So, but it's been a great surprise, because going inside softly, okay, has been great, because every day, as a mental coach, I have a little chat with them, just to say, hey, how are you? Oh, what about your family? No, so great things, because, you know, we are at the beginning. We are winning. We won the Super Cup. We won the 2 first games, and we are living the honeymoon in this moment. But I'm sure going on, probably will happen the storming, and we must learn to walk in the storm. And I think in that moment, probably my job will be more important than now. Nothing else. Thank you for your attention. If you have some question, I'm here. Please, question. Go.
Can you say something, if it's impossible, some short example about mental training of Milos Teodosic, for example?
Of Milos?
Sorry, can you just short example, if it's impossible, of course, if it's not some kind of secret for you.
No, it's okay.
Just some short part of that mental training. Exact things, if it's impossible.
Okay, so is a good question, because in my job, and also we see in the second part of this seminar. But the most important thing about our job, but about not just a mental coach, but as a coach, is to have the right culture of the question. Make a question. Make a question. How do you feel? How was your practice? And how can I help you to improve your practice? And the culture question is one of the best things, absolutely, to work as a mental coach. And when I have the approach with the players, but not just the player, because I don't work just with the players. I work also with the coaches. I work with the head coach. Head coach is a good friend of mine, but no problem. So I always start with the question. You are thinking, hey, the question, is it? No, is normal. But believe me, it's not so normal. It's abnormal to make a question, because we don't used to make the question. And I suggest you, when you are with your players, make a question. Start with when they are so young, make a question. Because you know when the baby they say, hey, why? And going home, they miss this culture of the question. As a coach, if we are so able to make a good question, and our player realize, because it is tough at the beginning, but when they realize also to give us the good feedback, will be great for us, for the outdoor job. I don't know if I am as well. So, but we spoke. We are going to speak about in the second part about it.
My question is that how can you have the players who has some troubles, for example, some tragedy in the family?
Okay, so it's great. It's a great question. So, and as I said, the most important thing, Georgi, is to think that you must be close to your player, because in all situations, when they have the successful, and when they have troubles. Because, as I said, the relationship that we have with your player is absolutely the most important thing. More important than the 1-3-1s on defense, pick and roll, blah, 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 blah. And You must close, and you must have patience, because when you work with the youth people, sometimes youth people needs more time. There is some girls, some players, some boys, they need more time than their teammates to grow up. And sometimes we realize that, okay, this player is not a so good player, and okay, we don't want, we suggest him to go in the other side. No, we must have patience. Patience is the great skill of the coaches.
Fabio, we got some questions from the internet. The first, how to handle players who are earning millions of euros? How does Virtus Bologna function? Do you work with coaches?
Yes, I work with the coaches. Because I said before, my mission is to work with the coaches, not with the players. But here they give me the opportunity to work with the players. I'm doing. So I work with the coaches because I think the coaches, the job of the coaches is very tough. It's very tough. And I work with the coaches, giving them some suggestions. The first, for example, how to organize their life. So you know, in our job, and not your job, because I was a former coach. So, and our job is a daily job. When you finish the practice and you go home, okay, you can't close the door and leave out basketball. No. You put the basketball in our room, in our family. It's normal. But so sometimes it's trouble. And I suggest to the coach, to have a program and to dedicate for themselves at least 45 minutes, an hour for themselves. For example, working, okay, I must give you my experience. So I realized when I was 60, and I had to do something for myself. For this reason, I tried to plan my daily program, making something for me, to dedicate just for me. For example, just, I don't know, playing golf. But I know that the day is so short, but to dedicate time for me, I must, for example, to wake up early in the morning. But it's very important to have time for ourselves. And we must put our mind out of our job, just for 45 minutes a day, no more. Okay.
It's about leadership. We saw example here, Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. And my question is, if they switch the teams, let's imagine this. Greg Popovich to take Chicago and Lakers, and Phil Jackson to take San Antonio, Duncan Ginobili. Could they lead them on successful way with other groups of people? What's your opinion about it? They could be the same leaders, or they need to select group to lead them in coaching job.
Yes, I think when we are speaking about such player, such coaches, okay, for me there isn't so different, because, for example, if Phil Jackson was a coach in San Antonio, probably he could have the same successful. Why? because he worked in Chicago and he had successful. He worked in Los Angeles, he had successful. But okay, this is a but for sure, because Phil Jackson, for example, I don't know how is the philosophy of Popovich. I know something about Phil Jackson. Also because I was so lucky to follow some training camp many years ago. So, but he has got a great leadership, but close him always there was George Mumford. George Mumford was is a mental coach. Probably Popovich has a different system, but for sure he has got a great leadership. Because if you don't have the leadership, you can't reach such results.
Yes, Fabio. Fortunately, we have some questions from online, from people watching online. So the first question is, how to communicate with players if you don't speak their mother language?
So
it's a tough one.
Okay, but you know, that's so. Now, the English is the language of the basketball. Because now I'm here and I'm speaking to the coaches. I'm using the English. No, English is not so good. But so there is also just another language, the body language. The body language is one of the most important things because, for example, sometimes we have troubles to explain something, but maybe because I am Italian and the Italian people are a little bit crazy, they try to transmit the information using the arm, using the head, using the legs. So, but okay. But if as a coach, I go around to coach, for sure, I must learn English. I coach in Russia, I coach in Bangladesh, I coach in Africa, and also I coach here. So if I don't speak English, I can't do my job. So, but it's normal. I think it's great in education for the children. Now, you know, for example, if we want to find a job now is no. Before they ask to know your mother language, but another language. Now it's unusual. You need at least 2 more languages. In our job, we must work and we must have. This is, for example, as I said. Okay, I want to dedicate to myself during the day to stop. I study English, and I study Russian. I don't know, but I'm doing something for myself.
We can move on to the next one because we have some more questions. This is a good one too. Is it easier to work in women or in men basketball?
Wow, great. Thank you very much. Who is the name?
It's one of our good followers.
Great. Because this is always the question during the clinic, because people know that know something about me, because I work with the woman and I work with the man. So I want to tell something in advance, okay? And for me, it's been great to work with the women, because with the women I won. With the men, it's been tough. But there is a great difference, because basketball is basketball. But okay, as a coach, we must realize that our relationship is completely different. Because with the woman, we have the emotional relation. With the men, we have the physical relation. And they said, what does it mean? Very simple. So just, for example, with the men, Okay, because I coach the men during the practice, we can have the fighting situation. And after, at the end of the practice, we go together to drink the beer. Okay, we are friends. Everything cancelled. With the woman, it's very different. Because if you have some conflict, if don't use the right word, the woman remember for all season this situation. And it's been very tough to work, to going on. Here in front of me, there are some great players, and they are smiling because they agree. And I used to make this example when in a clinic, when people ask me, which is the difference between coaching men and women? Okay, if you are so able to get the trust of your team, woman team, and before the game, for example, and it's a funny example, and they say, hey, girls, today, for winning the game, and you must crash your head against the wall. They said, hey, coach, where? The man, they said, why? This is different. This is a different. And I suggest to the coach that are working with the men, they must have an experience in the female basketball. Because the people consider the female basketball so just a weak part. No, believe me, if you want to grow up as a coach, have an experience with the female basketball. But when you go to the female basketball, you must go there and you must have a clear idea. You must be the best coach, not 100%, under the 15%, because when you go inside in the court and you think, okay, today, this year I'm here, I'm working with the female coach, but with the female team, but I'm already thinking about the next year, because so next year I would like to work with the men, with the men team. The women right now, they understand that, and they kill you. They kill you. They don't give you the possibility to work. If you are in a female team, just spending time thinking for the next season. You must give the girls the best, our best, but not 100%, 150%. Also because when you go inside, they make the X-ray. They watch you, how you walk, how you shave, how you dress. And you just say, hey, but what you are saying? That's, believe me, in the female basketball, this is very important. It's very important. Very important. Last thing, when I was in the practice, in the first practice with the female team, at the end, a players tried to cry. I was very disappointed. The first practice, and this player also played in the national team, and I asked to my assistant, why? Maybe I made something. I said to them, to her something. And my assistant said, hey, Fabio, you have to learn this thing. During the practice, you like to tell, hey, brava, congratulations, you are doing a great job. So, but you said to almost to the old player, and you forget that player. And that player, and I learned, if I want to tell brava, congratulations, I must tell to all players during the practice. Because if you forget once, maybe she starts, why? Why he doesn't tell me nothing? Maybe I did something wrong. And I learn, okay, in a practice, okay, if you must tell to the people, brava, congratulations, or no, not, but if you forget someone, it's great troubles.
Okay, just a couple more. We have one of our coaches asking, can you please recommend a mental training, where is it worth to learn? So
No, I don't understand, sorry.
can you recommend some
Yeah.
mental training, like where can we learn mental training, how we can learn, or
okay.
which school?
Yes,
I
okay,
think
okay, great.
this is one of
So
coaches.
I can tell how was my experience. My experience, okay, as I said at the beginning, I coached in Cameroon. We reached the opportunity to work to play in the pre-Olympic Games, but 1 month before the Minister of the Sport said to me, Fabio, we don't have money, we gave up. And I said, okay, I must change the focus. And I have to decide to work in a mental training. And I start with my first course has been in Italy and after the States. If you go around, you can find a lot of the course. But please pay attention. Pay attention. Because as I show you after the gold medal, in this moment there are a lot of the courses, but some courses are very poor because they give you a certification in 48 hours, paying just 50 hours. It's impossible. As I said, I'm working as a mental coach since 10 years. And if you decide, you must check, you must ask information. And for example, this girl, this man, okay, can get in touch to me and I can give them the information.
Great.
This is very important because you are making an investment on yourself. But you must do something that important, and don't push away the money.
Okay, another one. This is another question. Should a coach adjust his halftime speech according to specific situation? For example, the team is favorite and is leading, or the team is in favorite and is trailing, and so on. Can this be mentally prepared even before the game? Like, what would you say? Or is it something that you just react according to how the game went?
Yeah, I have an idea. Always when I have to prepare the game, if I have a good team, and also I have a weak team, every time I prepare the game, thinking to play as an underdog. So, and I try to transmit some situation, how to be ready, but preparing the game is a job, is a weekly job, because during the game I can't invent nothing. So, and I like very much to give not just technical information about the player, about the opponent, but also I like to give some information about, for example, the mentality of our opponent. And so, for example, I like to prepare in the game in this way. I decide at the beginning of the week. Okay, I decide the captain of this week, and this is very important for me because all players will be captain for a week. And at the end of the week, I have a briefing with them, with these girls or this man, and this girl, this man, make during the week interview with their teammates. their teammate. But when I decide the captain, I said to him some suggestion. And I don't speak about the technique, about, hey, try to send some, hey, today we must work tough because we must be ready so for Sunday, but not just about the technique. We must work about the concentration. For example, so just if I speak to a player, I used to give a player 1 goal a day. For example, so I speak to the player and say, hey, today, focus on the dribble. What does it mean? You have the complete attention on your practice, but focus on dribble. And the day after, focus on the shoot. Just that to improve their concentration, nothing else.
Okay, I think we have time for one last one. Okay. Do the best players earning €1 million need a mental coach also? And how does it work with Dissociation?
Okay.
I think everybody is really curious about that one.
Because people think that great players, I'm a great player, they don't need the mental coach. Okay, my experience with the Virtus has been, in Virtus there are some former NBA players. As you know, there is Milos Teodosic and also Marco Bellinelli as something. Okay, this great player, for example, the American player, they had a great experience when they were young in the college and the high school with the mental coach. And this experience have been good experience or sometimes not good experience. But they believed in that. In the state, the position of the mental coach is very important. There is a difference in the team because there are the mental coach and there is the psychologist. The mental coach are a man or woman that help the player to grow up in technical situation, giving them trust, giving them some suggestion. The job of the psychologist is a little bit different. For example, you know, in the NBA team, there are some tough situations. Afro-American people, drug troubles, troubles with the family. The mental coach can't help. For this reason, this is job for the psychology.
Okay, just one last one because we have tons of questions coming in. What is the difference between psychology and mental coach? This is, you can probably.
I think. Okay, I'm not psychology. So just I want to tell you, it's funny. I'm studying to get a degree in psychology, but it's so tough for me. I'm 70, and so just when you are young. You have the fresh mind, but you don't have the goodwill to study. Now, I'm no fresh mind, and I have the goodwill to study, but I don't understand nothing. It's so difficult for me. It's so difficult. But we must cooperate. We must cooperate. As I said before, we must work together. We must work together. As I said before, so the mental coach help. Usually, the mental coach is a man that had experience in the sport. He's a former coach, former player. And he knows what happened in the locker room. He knows how to work with the player about some troubles in the technique, giving some suggestions. And the psychology is different. Maybe, as I said before, there are some players with troubles, no troubles in their when they are young about the drug. So this is an idea, but we must work together. And also, this question will be very important to make this question to Anett, to Bonnie.
Okay, just one one more. What is more important for a coach, to be a leader or to be a teacher?
Okay, good question. Good question. In any case, if I wanna be a good teacher, I must be a good leader. Absolutely yes. So just if I am a good teacher, but good teacher means that I know. I know my job. I have the knowledge, but I'm not leader because I'm not so able to transmit my knowledge because it's unuseful. It's unuseful. Okay. If I want to be a good teacher, I must be a good leader. If I want a good leader, I must be a good teacher.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Fabio.
Okay.
I think we will. I think Fabio deserves a round of applause.
Thank you. Grazie mille.
Yeah. And we will continue with Anett and Bonnie. I think they will have some great things to say too. And we will hear about Fabio. Keep watching us and keep following and keep asking questions. We will try to answer all the questions that we will get online. And sorry for the time delayed, but we are happy that all of you following us. So please welcome Anett.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you.
Have a good job, huh?
Thanks. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Are you still holding up? Can we continue with the presentations? Yes. Good. So the next one is going to be held by me and my colleague here at the Ratgeber Academy, Bonnie Bakuretz. And in the first half, I'm going to briefly introduce you what sport psychology is, basically. And we chose some of the topics that Fabio mentioned to introduce you a little bit more in depth, a little bit more from the psychological point of view. So sometimes I get this question, what do psychologists do on the court? Which means that why psychologists work at the sport academies. At first it may seem strange, but hopefully by the end of this presentation you will understand a little bit more. Let's make it straight that there is two fields of sport psychology. One is theoretical work, and the other one is practical work. We're going to focus on practical work, but first I think it's worth to take a look at the theoretical work, which is crucial because they do research and observation in order to understand different phenomena. And when they do, they can build up theories and models or rejecting old ones, etc. And using those theories and models, we are able to work in practice more successfully than before. So that is basically the application of the acquired knowledge. Based on this knowledge, sport psychologists focusing on several things that are important in performance, but I listed some of the most important ones. There is motivation, emotion, stress, and anxiety management. For sure, you all have your own experiences with these topics as a coach and maybe as a player or as just a human being. And there is mental preparation, like building up scenarios before performing, visualization that Fabio mentioned, which is really, really important, and internal speech that Bonnie mentioned a little bit later. Realistic self-image is something that is, I think, very important in order to get to the goal as fast as possible, and also confidence and self-esteem. What psychologists do, and maybe, I don't know, Fabio, tell me if I'm wrong, but maybe mental coaches don't do that very much, is processing and evaluating experiences on the court, with the coaches, or in private life. Especially when it comes to youth athletes, I think it's really important to help them to understand themselves and the world that surrounds them. So this is the way to get more matured. There is also, we not only work on one-on-one session, but we also do teamwork. And psychoeducation is a part of our job. It means that we keep talking about you, as you already experienced it, and to the athletes, about topics that are concerning them. It can be peak performance, they are all willing to perform at the best they can, or we should make them aware of the signs of burnout, for example. We do consultations with coaches and other staff members, and sometimes with parents too, when it comes to youth athletes, again, which is, I think, really important, because one thing that is hard for psychologists, if I can be honest with you, when we arrive to a sport facility, to enter the staff team is not that easy. First, we have to earn your trust, because as Fabio said, there is this negative label, like, oh, she's a psychologist and I'm crazy, or she's trying to read my mind. But we are not here for that. We don't think that everyone is crazy here. We are here to help. On the first place, to have the athletes to perform the best. But for that, we need more and more and more information. I think when we have a constant collaboration, as probably you experienced, then we can reach our goals faster and maybe easier, hopefully. And then we are also dealing with additional psychological issues. Hopefully, we don't meet them too much. For example, early traumas, etc. I think this is one thing that the field of the psychologists and not the mental trainers. Now that I mentioned that, first we have to enter the staff team, which takes time and energy, of course. It's also pretty energy-consuming to build up the relationship with the players, because they also, many times, they have the same first idea, like, okay, I'm not going to talk to him because he or she is a psychologist. But being around all the time, chatting in the dining room, hi, how are you, as Fabio said as well, is small steps toward building this relationship. And hopefully, through time, and by the time when they really need some help, they will already look at us as one of the members of the team and not some crazy person. So, yeah. And now, I think from this list and from the things that Fabio mentioned, as I said, we chose 4 topics to talk about. And first is motivation. And I really want to ask you to listen to this topic, not only as the coach, but only as a worker. Like, well, how is your motivation? There is this theory by Dissociation and Ryan, which is called self-determination theory, that we rely on a lot. But first, let's make it clear what motivation means. Motivation is an internal energy that determines all aspects of behavior. Because it determines all aspects of behavior, we have to pay attention to this. In sport, of course, high motivation is widely accepted as an essential factor to fulfill athletes' potential, especially when it comes to difficulties. Because, go to training every day when everything is all right and there is nothing special going on, it's not that easy. But when you are facing big difficulties, traumas, or you are just so tired, motivation becomes crucial if he can hold up or not. Some other people, some other psychologists call it whether the athlete is passionate or not. If he or she is not passionate, if he or she is not really into basketball or the thing that he is doing, we have a lower chance to have them on the long run in the field. So this theory is based on a number of motives and regulations which vary in terms of the degree of self-determination. So there are going to be 3 main kinds of motivation depending on the degree of self-determination. There is this chart on that that I'm going to soon explain more in details. But you can see, as I said, 3 main kinds. First is a motivation. There is extrinsic motivation, and there is intrinsic motivation. Okay, I'm going to explain you all. So first, let's start with intrinsic motivation, which comes from within, and it's fully self-determined. For us, it's the best, actually. And these athletes perform the activity simply for the reward inherent in their participation. So they are doing it because they are enjoying it. The highest level of this is being in flow. I'm sure some of you heard this expression. Csikszentmihalyi is a famous Hungarian researcher, had this concept of flow, which means that you are completely immersed in the activity. You forget about your time, your ego goes behind, and you are just become one with that activity, in this case with playing basketball. And there is extrinsic motivation, which is a drive to behave in certain ways based on external sources, and it results in external rewards. What does it mean? As you can see, it had, can I go back? Yeah, it had 4 different types. The first 2 is identified regulation and integrated regulation. These represent self-determined types of extrinsic motivation because behavior is initiated out of choice, although it's not necessarily perceived as enjoyable. So an example for identified regulation is engaging in a behavior that is highly valued and it becomes integrated in one's sense of self. And an example for integrated regulation is completing daily flexibility, for example, in order to achieve ultimate goal. The other kinds, you can see we are going more and more closer to our motivation, is introjected regulation and external regulation. These represent non-self-determined or controlling types of extrinsic motivation because athletes don't sense that their behavior is choiceful. So they experience psychological stress, and this is when we come to the picture. Example for introjected regulation is participating in sports in order to achieve recognition. So it's not about that I'm enjoying playing basketball that much. And external regulation is, for example, when somebody is participating in sport to receive money. And then there is a motivation, which represents a lack of intention to engage in a behavior, combined by feelings of incompetence. For example, I can't see the point of training anymore, it just tires me out. When someone gets here, either it's because there was never a motivation or either because of burnout, it's really, really hard to get back on track with these athletes. Yeah, and I brought you one technique that we use with Bonnie, and I think some of you may also use, that helps to increase motivational level, is goal setting. First, it's important to set a few ambitious but achievable long-term goals, because through empowering athletes to set their own goals, they are more likely to accept challenges. That's what I said earlier. Then we ask the athletes to set appropriate medium-term goals in order to keep them on track. And it's also important when we do with these athletes, because it's their decision. It's their promise to themselves. It's not something that I say that he should be doing or she should be doing. It's his promise. And half a year later or 1 year later, we get back to this paper, and we can take a look at whether he or she achieved this goal or not. And if not, what happened? Was it too low for him? Was it too high for him? Was he lazy? What happened there? It's also something to work on realistic self-image, which I think, as I said, very important. And we also set some short-term goals in order to achieve medium-term goals and then achieve the long-term goals. And these short-term goals keep athletes focused on the check marks, which are crucial to achieve superior performance. Therefore, these are process-oriented. These are very, very practical ones, like I go for extra running once a week, or I'm gonna be on a diet from now on, etc., etc. These are easy to check. And something that should be noted, that goals need to be monitored and revised on a regular basis. As I said, we check these goal settings in every 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. And something else about goals, that they should always be smart. You heard this expression, smart goals? And this is, you know what it means. S is for specific, so it has to be something concrete. M is measurable, like I'm going to run 100 meters under 14 seconds, for example. Achievable, so again, being realistic to yourself. Relevant and time-bound. I'm going to achieve this in 3 months, for example, because then it's so easy to see whether he got there or not. Sometime a player came to me and he said, I want to have a better mentality. Okay, what mentality means for you, what better means for you, where you are at right now, where you want to get there. So it's not concrete enough. You can't work with that. Yeah, I don't know if you have any comment or question about anything. No? Okay, then we can move on. You had? Sorry. We can move on at the end. Okay. So the second topic that I am going to talk about is anxiety. I think it's also a very common phenomenon for you and for your athletes as well. And this is a very interesting topic in psychology. And I brought you, I think, 3 different kinds of theoretical framework that looks at anxiety from different angles. Let's see the first one. It's called State versus Trait Anxiety by Spielberg. I don't know if you are familiar with this concept, but basically, yeah, let's make it clear first what anxiety is. So by definition, anxiety is a mental state characterized by an intense sense of tension, worry, or apprehension relative to something adverse that might happen in the future. So Spielberg said or stated that there are 2 kinds of anxiety. One is trait anxiety, which is more like a staple personality feature. So he's that kind of player, he's always anxious. He is like this, which means he has a tendency to respond with concerns and worries to various situations. And there is state anxiety, which is a temporary reaction to adverse events. So it's more associated with temporary increased sympathetic nervous system activity. It sounds difficult, but with the next theoretical framework, you will understand what it means. So Martin said that we have to differentiate cognitive anxiety and somatic anxiety. This is a situation-specific and multidimensional construct. And it states that cognitive anxiety refers to negative self-evaluation and self-doubts about an athlete's ability to perform. Just something to note for you, when an athlete has high self-esteem, it's a great protector against cognitive anxiety. And then there is somatic anxiety, which is characterized by the athlete's perception of psychological elements of anxiety, such as muscle tension. So let's see some examples. Shortly, cognitive anxiety means worries and fears. These athletes say things like, I'm concerned about choking under pressure. I'm concerned that others will be disappointed with my performance. I think when you listen to this kind of sentences, psychologists can do some helpful work for you in order to understand what is behind these worries, these fears. And then the somatic anxiety is when somebody experiences that his heart is racing, or he feels jittery, the stomach is sinking, or the hands are clammy. Yeah. But something that I really want to tell you, that you should not be looking at anxiety as a bad thing, because up to a certain level, anxiety can be really helpful for us. There is a difference between debilitating anxiety and facilitating anxiety. Debilitating anxiety means that it comes to a certain level for that individual, because it's individual that who and how much anxiety or stress can take, that it decreases the performance. It's not good for us. But facilitating anxiety is increasing performance. So certain and optimal amount of anxiety really do help performance on the court. Yeah, and something that we also work on as psychologists, to take a look at how the players label their anxiety, because in terms of performance, it can make a big difference whether they label it negatively or positively. So we should not seek to eliminate the stressor, because there will always be a stressor in our lives, but to influence the athlete's negative interpretation. Rather eliminating it, using it for yourself. Make an advantage of it. Yeah, and now I'm going to give it to Bonnie, and she's going to continue with the next two topics of us, and then we can have some questions and discussions.
Thank you. Halftime. Are you okay? So, yeah. Effective coaches works with many techniques, how they communicate. It's really important. It's important how to communicate. You need to be, you have empathy. You need to have clear articulation, but the purpose of the message is important too. So sometimes the coaches, in a halftime speech, for example, they are in this big, hard situation, and they are not calm anymore. They tend to yell, for example, and that means that they lose the control. But always, in any time, you need to have the purpose, the goal of your messages. And there is a method like Eric Berner find out that from the psychological dynamics, he observed that between the people are interaction, which is really important, not only as a coach, as a player, as a human being as well. That means that how you behave with the other is really important. How to communicate with the other is the most important thing, because within these communication methods are the why. That means that there are 3 roles in your life or in your role that you find out. For example, sometimes you're like a parent. You start to criticize, you're judging, you start to dominate, because there is no time for arguing. So in a halftime speech, there is no time to, okay, but what happened? No, I need to say something for you. You need to say it clear. You need to say it, yeah, dominate. So sometimes being a parent is really good, because there is no other opportunity. Child is a really good role, because that means that you are creative, open-minded, really wants to find new opportunities. You are challenging. You will never give up. But sometimes kids are start to stubborn or being submissive. That means that if someone is an active, agile person with me, then I say, okay, I will do this. No questions. So it's a passive feeling, and you cannot control your feeling. You cannot control your emotions. That can be a child role. The best would be the adult. The adult have the assertive communication with empathy, clear informations. You share the informations, the correct informations. I feel you need to do this. I feel that you said that means for me. So you're really assertive. That would be that you are in the reality. And this model shows us that maybe the assertive communication is adult-to-adult communication. That means that we share the information clearly. We are working on it that we need to find a resolution. But sometimes we find out that someone starts to speak with us as a parent. That means that from my adult, open-minded, assertive communication, someone started to push me down. That means that as a parent, started to criticize me. He started to speak like an active, dominate person. And then I sink to the child role. That means that, okay, I will do this. And this contraproductive communication called games. We find in our time, as a human being, we find so many times as in a game. Someone starts to criticize us, I start to stubborn, I tend to yell. So you always saw this contraproductive communication. But you need to find out how to be an adult, how to communicate assertive. I know on the court, there is no time to start an assertive, patiently, empathetic communication. But the most important thing is that you need to give the good information, enough information. So not only the what, the content is important, but the how. Okay. Next one, attention. You need to find out that your players, how they work, the attentional style, what kind of attention they have. We Niederfer find out directions like external, internal direction and broad, narrow attention. What does it mean? Internal is my feelings, my physical sensations, my emotions, everything what within, in my body is, what in my soul is it said. External, the environment, the situation, so everything about around me. Broad, narrow. Broad is when you need to find just a few focusing points, the central points of your focus. Narrow is there's so many impulses, so many cues you need to understand, you have so many informations to collect. And from these directions, Niederfer find out the attentional modus. For example, when, okay, how can I start to say it? For example, an internal attention with an external environment. That means that I need to collect the important informations, filter out, for example, the fans or the parents on the court, and I need to find out the strategies. On the other hand, basketball. You need to check your players. You need to check the enemies. Where is the ball? You need to filter out the parents, the yelling fans. Okay, here is the figure. What can I do now? So you need to find the information from the environment and use your inner methods. Okay, then, for example, broad and internal, it's like in tennis. That means that you need to check only the ball. No matter what happened outside, you need to check the ball. Or in shooting, it's a monotonous game, but you need to check only one point. So the central of your focus is the ball. Okay, what's when broad and external mean? That means that the focus is external environment, which is really, oh, sorry, yes, that's what the basketball. So narrow and internal. The environment is complex as well, but for example, like material art, you don't need to handle with the environment. Only on judo, tatami, your enemy. It's just a little thing because you don't need to work with the figures or there is no other players, only you and your enemy. So there are only a few informations you need to collect. Okay, the other thing, it's maybe important in physical activation more, the association and dissociation method. That means that, for example, in running, if you start to monitoring yourself, then you are fully controlled and you in contact with your body. That means that you, okay, how is my breathing? I need to stabilize my breathing. How is my posture look like? Because I need to stabilize my performance, but in the same time, I'm just monitoring myself. No matter what's outside, I'm just looking at me. The dissociation would be you break out your mind. That means you start to check the environment, the weather, the climate, what's happening. It's important when you have the endurance training because you do both of these methods. So sometimes you're with the dissociation method, sometimes you're with your association method. You need to use a figure. Okay, what can I do? How is my pose? How my legs are working? You need to control everything. But sometimes, if you have no energy anymore, then you maybe start to look outside. Yeah. So in this, why is it important? If you find out how your player's attention would be, then you could improve this. For example, if someone is really full with his mind, he has so many impressions, so many emotions, so many informations he collected all the time from the environment, then you know that she has a really external attention. But then you can say, okay, let's start focusing. For example, only for your legs. Then we start to kick off the unnecessary informations. Or if someone has so many thoughts, he cannot collect what would be important or what could be not, then you could train her like, okay, then say out loud your emotions. Because then she started to focus on each emotion, on each thought. And then when you say out loud, then you make it clear, more clearer than before. Okay, and how can you work with mottos? How can you focus more effective? Many people start to self-blaming, judging, I'm not good, I need to give up, I cannot do this anymore. You need to stop with this. You need to change the negative narratives to positives. How? This is the method. Never use the word no, I'm not good. You don't need to say this, because if you say I'm not good, then you really think that you are not good, because in your brain, this formal is there. So you need to push this formal down or back and find a good sentences, because it's really worked. Never use counterproductive words. I can't, I will give up. If you say this motto again and again and again, that means that in your brain is this negative narrative. Make your statements accurate, specific. As Anett mentioned, your goal or your purpose need to be specific and measurable. So I focus on my wrist, for example. It's so specific. I focus on only one body part. So in attention, if you have so many things to do, if you need so many things to focus on, it's too much. Then focus only one body part. I focus on my wrist, for example. So it's really measurable, concrete, and it helps for you. The sentences must contain only positive content. Yes, I said, my legs are fast. Not that, oh, my legs are out of work, because you need to have these positive narratives. Be short, be clear, just like a motto. Yes, we have no time for long, dramatical sentences. Speak to yourself kindly. Yeah, I think in youth sport, but yeah, in every type of sport, we are not always kind to ourselves. We judge ourselves, we sabotage ourselves, we have always this self-blaming. Let's start to trust in ourselves, so be kind of yourself. Yeah, and repeat it. As I work with kids, we will start to make positive mantras. We write down, just like a song. And I always give them as a homework, okay, then let's learn this song. And if you're on the court and you find out that I start shaking, oh my God, I cannot do this, I'm not good. No, let's sing this song. Because these positive narratives can change your mind, can change your focus, because these mottos help you. Okay, what can I do? I need to check my food. I need to check my wrist. So it starts to focus on your body and for the good method. Okay, I'm done. Thank you. And if you have any question, Anett is here, I'm here, so we would be happy if you have any.
Okay, so one of the first questions is, do you both think that players need idols? Or how can an idol send an idol, have an idol, can help a player to motivate or be motivated?
I think yes, because in every situation, you need a model, an idol. And for example, the coaches could be an idol too, because the kids watch you. The focus is on you, right?
Yeah, I agree. But sometimes I met this situation when an athlete said to me, but I don't have an idol. So in case if he or she really doesn't have one and she's not willing to have one, I don't force it. I think it can be very helpful. And why they can be helpful? Because it's the same when you are reading a book or watching a movie or following someone's career. When you are focusing on that person so much, in a way you become one. So what he or she goes through, the difficulties, you feel the same thing. When you are watching the movie, when the main character is suffering, for example, and you can feel the suffering small. But then he finds the way to solve the problem, and then he wins in the end, of course. And then you can feel in small the same happiness that thanks to trying hard, you can get there. So for that, to bring these emotions on the surface, I think they are very, very helpful to have idols, yeah. And thanks to these modern days, you have so many documentaries, for example, on different channels. So it's, because nowadays kids don't read that much, but to watch them, I think it helps a lot. Yeah.
Do you know or do you have any technique that can help to reduce anxiety, for example, during the games, or something to help fast?
Yeah, first of all, I think breathe in and breathe out. I think that's the most important thing. If you have any problem, first just start to breathe. And the other is, maybe if we have time, I can show a progressive relaxation, that it's really easily, and it's about that you focus on your body parts, so concentration improvement. And while you're focusing on your body parts, you start to tense your muscles, and suddenly when you start to relax and breathe out, then this tension get to relaxed. That means that if you suddenly relax, not only your body, but your soul could release. That means that you start to, from your top, from the bottom, to start to tense. That means you squeeze your palms, push your hands to your torso, and so on. You push your legs down to the floor. So for 10 or 15 seconds, you're really like in a tension. And after it, you just breathe out so you just breathe out, and then you get relaxed. And if you do this 3 or 4 times, it's in contact.
Yeah, this is especially good for when you are experiencing somatic symptoms of anxiety. So this repeated, how you say it, I'm sorry, squeezing and then letting out, is helping to relax your body. It's simple biology. Okay, thank you for the question. Any more questions?
You mentioned realistic self-image. You mentioned realistic self-image.
Yeah.
Many times we experience that players don't have a realistic self-image about themselves. How can we have this?
Yeah, well, that's not easy. And this is really something that I experience a lot, which is funny because sometimes when I go to see trainings, I can see the coaches giving so many feedbacks to them. But somehow the message is lost, and when they come to me, and then the picture they build about themselves to me is sometimes different from the picture that I get from the coaches. So, and sometimes I even have my own experience with that athlete that seems strange to me how she or he thinks about himself or herself. So one technique that I use, and when I'm very lucky, the coaches can get involved too, is that first I ask kids to list all attitudes or skills that he or she thinks that is important for performance in his sport, in this case in basketball. It can be physical skills and mental skills, for example, passing, concentrating, etc., etc. I think just doing this can give us a very vivid picture of how he or she thinks about basketball and performance. Maybe you, as a coach, look at this paper and you can see that there are so many important things are not listed. What's wrong? He doesn't think it's important, so something went wrong between the messages. And then, when we have the list, and by the way, I also do this in team work, and it's so nice to see when the kids are sharing their opinion about the important skills in basketball, and they are arguing over it, like which is important and not. So anyway, and then I ask them to evaluate themselves from 1 to 10, 10 is the highest point, like what he or she thinks that, how he or she good at that skill. So in the end, we got to so many points, like my concentration is 6, my passing is 9, etc., etc. And then, because improvement cannot happen fast, focusing on everything. So when I said with the goal setting, first, or Bonnie said before, you have to focus on 1 or 2 things at the time. So we can list these points, and you can say, okay, I think that my, I don't know, passing is worse, so I'm going to work on that in the next 3 months. It's a goal setting. Then he has to work on that with the coach. But when he says, okay, I need to be more aggressive on the court, then he has to work with me on that and with the coach too. So, and here comes the coaches involved. Because if he or she has the time, I ask the player to go to talk to the coach and show this paper and have a discussion, which is always really important to talk, to discuss these things, because I think that's what brings us forward and forward. So first they can talk about whether this list is full or not. And then you can give, again, very realistic feedback, like, why do you think that you are not aggressive on the field? You just yelled at the I don't know, enemy yesterday, or something like that. So that's the beginning of discussing more realistically the player's performance. And then we can take a look at this list time to time. So 3 months later, we can say, okay, did you improve the skills that you set yourself as a goal? But what happened with the other skill? It's decreased. You have to learn then to focus well on the different things. So that's one technique that I use.
So you're saying that there's more common that children has more negative self-image than the coaches has?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that many times, I don't know if it's more common or not than having realistic self-image, but many times they don't. Whether it's negative or positive, it's another question. Some players have too high expectations and images about themselves, and sometimes it's the other way around. So when I work with them, when we work with them, it's not an easy process to get more or less to the realistic one, but to build up the ego at the same time, because without ego, there is no peak performance, but staying on the ground. So it's giving and getting back, giving and getting back. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of time. But yeah, I experience it. I don't know if you experience it. We never talked about it, but I do. You too? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Questions?
My question is about body language. Imagine situation, we have important game, and players are waiting for me in locker room. What is more important for them, my speech or my body language? How they accept those two things?
The general theory, as far as I remember well, is that listening to body language is more important. It's unconscious, okay? But I think it's 60 or 70% that you rely on nonverbal communication than on verbal communication. But I think another maybe a little bit more important question is whether your body language and the message you are saying verbally is in harmony or not. Because that causes the biggest problem when you say something with your mouth, but your body language is saying something completely different. And then the players can get confused, and that's the worst for performance. So I think that's the first step, to be in harmony with yourself, with your message that you want to bring them. Yeah. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, with that, the first part of our webinar is over, and we will take a short 15-minute break, okay? 10-15 minutes break, which means that 11:15 we will continue the webinar, also with Fabio again, and get ready because we can accept a lot of questions, and we will ask a lot of questions from Fabio. And so quick coffee, and we will be back in 15 minutes. culture of questions in Virtus Bologna. So enjoy and get ready for the questions. Fabio?
Okay. May I use this one? Okay. Okay, first of all, thank you to Anett, thank you to Bonnie, because they explain in a great way. So just using the right word. And so what does it mean to work as a psychology in the sport? Yeah, so you know, about me is a little bit different, because I want to transmit to you my experience. Ciao, Yanis. I want to transmit to you my experience. So, for example, something about, I don't know, the motivation. The motivation is very important, but sometimes the people ask me, but what does it mean to motivate the player? And so my opinion is that I can beat the motivation if I put my player in the right condition to reach their goal. I can transmit my motivation, because my motivation, for sure, is different than the motivation of my players. If I force my player to have my same motivation, it's different. It's like to manipulation. Isn't working. I can be in just the right situation where my player inside, they can work, they have the clear idea to reach their technical goal, and also not just technical goal, or maybe their dream, nothing else. I don't push them to have my motivation. Just to. And also about the goal, great. Because as a coach, if I don't have a goal, I can't ask to my player to have the goal. And but we must have some clear idea about the goals. Because, so for example, as a coach, we like to win. But the goal for winning is a goal where we can have the check, we can have the control, because we can have a really great season. We can play a final, and in the final we play against the team stronger than us, and we lose. And so, but okay, we had a great season. And sometimes coaches are just focused on the goal results. This is terrible, because we can check the result. We can check the performance. What does it mean? We can check, for example, how to teach some technical attitude to our player. We can check how to teach them, I don't know, how to shoot. But we can check the result. And this is very important. So, and another thing about our speaking internal. So that is great. Because many times, so when we make a mistake, but not just a player, also as a coaches, and in the normal way. So we are the little voice inside that said, yeah, you are not so good. You always make a mistake. Okay, why you are here? So that is terrible. That's terrible. There is a little exercise. The name is REM. When I feel inside and I have this voice that pushes us down, because this voice is always negative, never is positive. Okay, we have REM. REM, what does it mean? REM is R is recognize, evaluate, modify. When we have, for example, a bad fox, we must say, hey, stop! But we must say, stop! Stop! Because recognize. Evaluate because it's a bad situation. And modify. I think to have another imaging. So, for example, I suggest to my client, to my friend, to the player, or to the athletes, when they are living a bad moment, they must have a good imagine, a good place where they like to stay, for example, on the beach, on the mountain, going around. So, change completely the focus. Completely change from the negative to the positive. And so, tell him then, okay, so just, I'm a good man, I work a lot, so I made a mistake, but so just, I'm able to go on. Always the positive, that is very important. About you, about your question, when you said, what happened when the people live an anxiety moment? It's a very simple, but very difficult. If we are so able to put our focus, our concentration on breathing, When, for example, I made a mistake, so people, players, so they are thinking about the mistake and thinking about the mistake, how is the result? They go on making a mistake. If they work, and they work is tough work because it's not simple, because you know if you don't breathe, you died. It's normal. But we never have the awareness, the consciousness during the day about our breathing. So if I'm so able, after a mistake, to focus on my breath, inside, outside, inside, outside. How we teach when the player is making the free throw. Ba, ba, ba. Shoot. Will be the same. We have the consciousness, but it's so difficult. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. And here, you are listening a lot of the things, but these things are not so simple to reach. You must work on yourself, That's also, and for example, awareness on the breathing is one of the best solutions for all problems. This part is in the mindfulness. It's mindfulness. After you asked me about Phil Jackson, for example, Phil Jackson built his philosophy, basic philosophy, okay, on the mindfulness. Nothing. I would like to tell something about it. Now, we go, here we are speaking about the culture of the question. So some people here already know this one because I did this presentation last time when I was here. For me, the culture of the question is one of the most important things. Absolutely. Because if we are, in advance I said, if we are so able to make the good question, if we are the lucky to help our players, and but not just in the sport, also in the different world, to transmit how is important to make the question, okay, we can have a great help to improve our job and to understand if we are working in the right way. Okay, I start from here. I do the coach, or I am the coach. For me, there is a great difference. Great difference. Because if I make just the coach, I give to my players just information, nothing else. But we must realize that in front we have people, we have person. We don't have the machine. And we must do something more. The trainer works on the machine. The coach works on the person. And I already said to you, this is my mantra. Sorry, and apologize because I used to tell the people always the same thing. If I want to be the best coach for my players, I must be the best coach for myself. For myself. And I must know my strong points, but also my weak points. And I have to work on my weak points. But I don't forget my strong points. Because, for example, if you are here in this academy, it means no one happened for case. For sure, someone decided that you are so great, you have a so great skill, you have so able to be here, But everyone has the weak points, and we must work on the weak points. Because if we work on the weak points, as I said before, okay, we have the opportunity to go outside of the comfortable situation. Okay, I said, this is my mantra. I think every day. So just because I said to you before, I made a lot of mistakes in my life. As a coach, but also as a man. And when I realized, when I asked to myself, why I had a conflict situation, a conflict relation with the player? Why? And from that moment, I realized that I had to make something different. I couldn't go on with my system. I had to change something in my system. But not just in my system, technical system, in my system as a man. Okay. Now, there is a list of questions. And, okay, I can't make the question to the other people, to the player, if before I can't make the question for myself. Okay, the first one, what does it mean to be a coach? Okay, if you are here, for sure, you have a passion for the basketball or for the other sport. So no one is forcing you to be a coach. No one. I'm sure if you are here because you have passion for the sport. And you have to think this one. Okay, that is important. And I'm a good coach. This is a very simple question. Sometimes we think that we are a good coach because, for example, we invented a great drill. But we must remember, maybe, the same drill 10 minutes ago, another coach invented another side of the world. So I'm a good coach. I'm a good coach means I want to be a great coach, a good coach, before for myself and after for my players. And what that does it mean to be a coach? Hey, we must hungry. Don't think. We must every day, we must learn something more. Every day we must go out of our comfort situation. When, as I already said to you before, so I don't think there are a good coach and a bad coach. There are a coach interested, a coach uninterested. The coach interested, they work to improve themselves. The other coach, okay, I don't want to attack them. But in our job, every day, We must change it. But we must change it as a man, as a woman. Because today, tomorrow, we build different than today. And the same is for our job as a coach. And the last one, what the people, the player, think about us. So, you know, many times, as a coach, we have a great ego. Great ego. But we must be able to manage this ego. And we aren't interested about our player are thinking about us. But this is a mistake, because there is a great difference. If you are working with the professional player, with the adult player, the senior player, so remember, this player aren't interested what you know about the basketball. They are focused just for winning the game. They are focused to be the player that they are dreaming. And they don't care what about you know about the basketball. Believe me. Believe me. If you work with the youth people, you have a great responsibility, because you have to teach them the basketball. This is the first one. But remember, your player are spending with you a lot of the time. More time, work here, for example, more time with you than their parents. And you have the responsibility to teach them some rules. It's not demagogy. It's life, okay? When you work in a youth situation, you have to help the people to grow up, not just as a player, but also as a man, as a woman. This is a great responsibility. That means not just for the coaches, also for the teachers. Also for the teachers. I used to make this presentation sometime when I speak of the teacher in the school. This is great responsibility. Okay. Question between the coach and the team. I like the first one. Why we are here? It's funny, no? But if I already said to you, why you are here? For which reason? If you are here, you must be the best coach, because here, this situation, academia is one of the most comfortable situations around the world, around Europe. If I'm here, I must give to my player, I must give to myself the maximum. You aren't here for a case. As I said before, someone decided that you are the right person, a right coach to be here. But you must show, you must demonstrate that it's very important to be here. And this is a question of our life. And for what do we fight here together? Or what we can make together, but not together as a coach with the team, together just as a coach, because you as a coach, before to build a team with your player, you must build a team as a coach all together. And that is so difficult. It's so difficult. Because, as I said, everyone has the ego. Everyone thinks that his system is the best system in the world. And if we don't compare, if we don't work together, we can reach good results. And in the last 2 or 3 years, has been tough to transmit this idea in the academia. What is the purpose, our goal. Because I said, if we don't have a goal, the personal goal, we can transmit, we can help our player to have the goal. Yeah, sometimes, so I like when I speak in my country to some person, the person I said, hey, but which reason are you making this job? Why? What is your goal? Okay, the answer is boo. But what does it mean, bo? Bo means we are losing time. And we are losing a great opportunity. We can't lose this opportunity to be here. Because this is a great opportunity. I go on. I know when during the making this presentation is like a provocation. It's like a provocation, but I like to provoke people because if I provoke the people maybe when they go out they are thinking, oh, this Italian crazy man maybe said to me something, so then we go on. Okay, at the start of the season, the beginning of the season, working with the team, okay, this is my experience. I did it. So I used to split the team in different groups, but not just professional, and also when I work with the youth, no? And I make this question, so just, how do like people remember us at the end of the season? Okay, they were in the different group, 10 minutes, and I decide a chief of the group, and they write down, and after, okay, I collect again, and I make the question, and in front to all the players, the chief of the group said, okay, I would like the people remember us with a great team, team that with a good feeling between the players and are ready to help each other, blah, 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 blah. And after, I split again. To be how the people will remember you, what we do make? And after, so again, I collect, and they said to me, just always the same thing. Okay, we must help a player, we must have a good relationship, and how was my definitely situation? Okay, I forced them to write down in a paper what they decide, what they said, and not just what they decide, but what they have to do. And after they signed this declaration, and I put, for example, on the door this. Because this declaration is very important. Because during the season, for sure, okay, you say that during the season, we have the honeymoon and the storming. And people, they have this paper in the strategic position. You can put this is, okay. For example, strategic position can be in the bathroom, for example. So I remember my assistant coach says, hey, Fabio, no one read this one. And hey, just don't care. If just one player or two players read a days this declaration, is a great result for us. And you can use this declaration during the tough period during the season, when something is going bad because maybe the team has trouble, so just, and hey, guys, hey, girls, you write down, this is your declaration. I didn't write down, you did it. And this situation can help you, can help you. Question between coach and the player. Okay, I learned this because someone gave me this this suggestion. So I have a good friend of mine is in the moment. Last year has been the best coach in Italy. And the name is Francesco Vitucci. He's coaching in Brindisi. And last year, his team has been the best team. Okay, they didn't win the league because they compare, for example, with the Milan, with the Bologna. They have the good budget. But so he used this question during the season, and he had a great result. Because he put their players in awareness position. What are your best skills? Or what part of the game is the most important for you, for winning? What can be your best team skill? What your personal goal for this reason, for this season? I know what you are thinking. But this is what Fabio is saying, the question. But believe me, the questions are the most important, absolute thing, because using in the right way the question, you can improve a lot your job. And no one ever is attitude. No one. But we must start with the youth guys. I said before, when the child always died, why? And we miss growing up this attitude to make the question. If we don't start, okay, I see when I coach here the girls, the first question, hey, how do you feel? What about your school? Maybe they are shy. So, but if you go on, if you push them, hey, they learn to have a question. Okay, I see, and the pleasure to see Yannis here, and also Yannis is a teacher in the course FCC, and he said to me, now in this course there is a part where the members, the students, the coaches, 1 hour a day, they work about the question, because the people realize the question is very important. If in the super course, because from the course there are in the future for the great coach, they realize to work on the question means the questions are very important. We go on. Oh, that is great. During the season, some players can have troubles. Before, Georgi said to me about what happened when a player had the troubles, maybe a tragic situation. We must close to him, to them. And so we don't pay the money to tell you, hey, how do you feel? It's so simple. Or what are your difficulties in this moment? I can work together. I can help you. How I can help you? Very simple. But few people do it. This is a great part of our job. Also with the team. But why are we playing so bad in this moment? For which reason? What can we do better together? But really, we are playing bad, or we can do something more, something else. Okay, I like this slide because at the end of the practice, okay, I think this is my opinion. You know, the basketball is all opinion. This is my opinion. Ask the say, but hey, did we work well today? What do you think about our practice today? We work well? Could we make something more? Do it. Are you satisfied about our job? But this is not only in the basketball. So, also in a company, after the meeting, after the job, okay, I think a leader must make this question to the member of the company. Okay, I felt on myself when I make a question. I feel good. I feel good. I feel really good. And so, is it not important the answer? Okay, pay attention. If we are so able to make a good question, and in front we have the people that now they are ready to make the good answer. Good question give us a good answer. If we have a good answer, if we have a good feedback, we can realize if we are working the right way. It's a great moment for us to understand if our job is going in the right way. So, but making question also, there is another reason. You are close to your player. You are close to your player. And they feel this one. Okay. But sometimes you must be smart. Because, for example, if a player had a bad performance, and you can't ask him, hey, why did you play so bad? Because for sure he knows exactly he played bad. Okay, you must be smart. You must try to go around using the different words, and at the moment you can go focus on the situation, Because if you attack him, and so he is already disappointed. Okay, he doesn't have a good feedback for you. For example, say, okay, I know this player he played bad, and I said, hey, how do you feel? Blah, 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 blah. What about your school? But I know for your father changed job, and so everything's okay. I'm going around, and that. Hey, well, what about the last game? It's completely different, because if you start, what about the last game? Why did you play bad? Okay, right now, no hardware. But if you go around, for sure you can have his feedback, and you can understand maybe the reason because he played bad. Okay, make a question, we call into the question, and we can help to improve our prayer, but mostly ourselves. As I said before, when I make a question, I feel good. I feel good. Also, if the people in front of me don't answer, I feel good. I feel good because I feel that I'm close to him. In the past, people said to me, if you make the question, okay, the people don't like because, okay, in Italian, we used to say, you are the rompiballe, you break the balls to the people. No, just so. I'm not the rompipalle. If I make a question, because I'm very interested on these people. And I want to be close to him. And I said, if I make a question and I feel good, it's not just for the prayer, but also for myself. Okay, the people, the answer can help the group of the people to build a good motivation, a common motivation, to build a great team. But it's very difficult, very, very difficult, very difficult. But nothing is easy in our job. But if I never do it, if I never use this system, I must try. But I must try, I must do it. Because if I want to go something. Also, this situation, the culture of the question is the same thing. I want to go out of my my comfort position. Ask. What are your questions? Ask. Please, question.
Thank you so much, Fabio. We have a lot of questions coming through the internet. One of the first question is, one of our writer ask us, can you please give us an example of a motivational speech, for example, before the season? How do you get in front of your team and give us a motivational speech? Let it be any of your previous teams you have coached.
Okay, so we must know exactly our player. When we are building a player, okay, nothing of new. So when we want to get a player, we must know him, but not just about his technical characteristic, about their character, how is the relationship. We must ask to him. Why you are so happy to play for me? For which reason? For which reason? And we must write down, and we must remember his motivation. His motivation. And so during the year, we must help him remembering his motivation. Because everyone has a different motivation. There are some people that have the motivation, the money motivation. And for example, people think that the players playing in the higher level just for the salary, they think about the money. No, I don't think this is true. Because at the beginning, the motivation is always the same. I play basketball. I play soccer because it's been my hobby. and I must enjoy myself going on. This is my motivation. This is my motivation. So, and we have also the team motivation. The team motivation. But as I already said, the team motivation is, for example, and we return on the question, why we are here? We are here because just to participate, or because we have a good goal, and we must have a specific goal. So sometimes you listen to the interview on TV, and the question is, okay, what about the team for this year? What about the goal of the team this year? And the coaches, the others, and they say, hey, we are here, we work, and after we see what happens. We see what happens is not a good motivation, it's not a good goal, it's just a confusion. We are here because we want to play the playoff. We want to save the season. We want to win the league. It's so difficult because the people try to be always the conservative. It's so difficult to as so clear in when decide something, because if we don't reach the title, if we lose the title, if we don't have the opportunity to reach our goal, okay, it's tough, it's trouble, but we must accept, but we must clear with the player. We must clear. We must give a right goal. A right motivation. No, okay. We are here, and after we work and we see what happens. That means nothing.
Okay. The next question we had, please tell us the main things about mental recovering.
No, I don't understand. So.
Mental recovering. Please tell us about the main things about mental recovering. So probably after.
Okay, one on the most important thing, just in my job, is not to give some suggestion how to help player when they are in trouble. But one of the most important things is to help them, for example, to recover their energy when they are tired. So, and there are some drills. For example, so there is a drill about they use the breathing, and there is some drill for about how can you are conscious of your body. Bonnie said before, so just okay, focusing on your body, using the breathing. And for example, there are some drills that if at the end of this drill, using the breathing, using the relaxed situation, you can recover your energy, and it's like to sleep 3 hours. So before I show you my schedule with the Virtus, and for example, I can tell nothing to the great player as Milos Theodoris, as Bellinelli. I can tell them how can they can recover the energy with some drill using the breathing. But I don't know if they do it. But this is the right way. But also you can suggest, but you suggest, but you don't know if in the other side, the other people do it. So you can suggest, and at the beginning, in my job, we make this drill together, and after, so I did my job, and I can't force the people. It's so different. So as I said, in a mental coach, okay, I go inside softly. I can't go inside strong because I risk to break the relationship with me and also between the players.
Okay. Since we were talking about the culture of questions, did you ask the same questions, the same things from players in Africa, in Russia, in Italy, in Hungary?
Okay, great. So I wish you to work not just here, and I'd like that you work around. But remember, the first thing is to understand the culture of the country where you are working. Because if you know the culture, maybe you can adapt, but also you can have some different play. Maybe you can you coach in Russia and you're a player from Russia, from States, from Lithuania, and I don't know. So, if in any case you must know where you are, that is important. Also, for example, in Africa, when I coach in Africa, so I had to realize I coached the female team. Okay, there is some different situation between the men team and the female team. Because there is also different between the man and the woman. In Africa, in that country, at that moment, they saw the woman as a person that make son, nothing else, just bad situation. And with the girls, I work forcing them to in this moment, you are representative, you are the best, you are an example for the other woman in your country. Are you ready to sacrifice and to make this job? Because we are fighting, no, in the basket, but we are fighting against the philosophy of the country. It's been a question. And the girls follow, but it's been tough because the men team went around on the first class airplane. The women team, we went around the Africa with the bars, with the chicken, with the and a lot of people. So, for example, 600 kilometers, so without sleeping, with the smell in the bars. But the girls went to the court and they won. And at the end of the season, this team get the opportunity to play the pre-Olympic game. The men team, they lost. So, but it depends. Where.
Okay, another question. I think this is going to be a good one. What do you think is the secret of Ettore Messina?
Okay, I'm working because I would let Ettore Messina will be here, and no. Ettore, I know very well Ettore. And Ettore has been a great coach. But the first one is an honest man. Because he pretends a lot from his player. Every time he attacks his player because he likes to have the maximum for the player. But he's very honest because at the beginning of the season, I know he speaks to the player and explains clearly how he is. The same also for the coach that I'm working with, Sergio Scariolo in the Virtus. They are different coaches, but so they are honest. honest is the best characteristic for the coach. Absolutely, and that's level, but also in all the level. Okay.
Thank you. The next question is, some people say coaching youth is education and coaching professional is ego managing. What do you think about that?
Okay, as I say, it's so. It's so. So because I say it's so. So just because when you are working with the youth people, you must help them to grow up as a player, but you must help them to grow up as a man, as a woman. So if you work with the senior or the professional player, as I said, hey, don't care nothing about how you know the basketball. They are interested to win the game. They are interested to be the game, to be the player as they dream. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. Okay.
I have a question. In your opinion, if there is a fight or a conflict between two players, how can you help them and save the team spirit?
So it's not easy. So when there's the conflict, so, the coach is very important. The coach is very important. But, okay, as always, we must start at the beginning, when we choose the player. When we choose the player, we must choose the player, and we must know everything about the player. What happened? There is some conflict between the player because a coach likes to have the best player, and during the speeching, okay, I decide you are the best player. I have a speech with you. Hey, Georgi, come with my team. I guarantee you 40 minutes. And after I speak to Anita, Anita, hey, come into my team. I guarantee you 40 minutes. I don't remember your name. Hey, come in my team. I guarantee you 40 minutes. Balash, I guarantee you 40 minutes. Bonnie, I guarantee you 40 minutes. I guarantee you 40 minutes. Okay, you know, you play basketball 5 in 5, and also with the one ball. You must be honest. It's better to say the player, okay, you are a good player. Maybe you are a right player in my system. I guarantee you 15 minutes. And at the beginning, you must give it 15 minutes. If this player played great, you can give him 20. But if they play bad, you give 10. So I want. This is the conflict because all players like to play. Okay, I learn everything in my new experience with the Virtus, and has been a great surprise for me. Every players before the game, they know exactly how many minutes they are going to play. Before the game. Okay, for sure, if during the first quarter they made the second foul, substitution. But every player knows exactly how many minutes he will play during the game. So, in the last quarter, probably, okay, this situation changed, but every player knows exactly. This is a situation to resolve some conflict between the players, because they know if you are here, you must accept this rule. If you don't accept this rule, okay, you don't play. But at the beginning, you must be very honest to explain how is your system, and you can tell to the player, okay, come in my team because my team, okay, we have a great system and my system is better than your system. Okay, no. come in my team. My team have this system. This system is not better or not bad. It's a little bit different. You must accept this or nothing else. Nothing else.
Fabio, please stay. And we have the privilege to have another FIBA instructor in our building today. So, Yanez, please come and maybe if you can add something. Today we talked about mental toughness and mental coaching. And please give a round of applause to Yanez. And maybe if you can tell us something, about what you think, what is your opinion, or can you add anything that I'm pretty sure it would be valuable for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello to everybody. As you can see, I'm still in my casual uniform because I arrived immediately from Ljubljana. I said I want to hear Fabio live, not on video. So I started from Ljubljana at 6 and I came here at 11. And about this, yes, this is really always very nice to discuss and to ask questions. And when we are talking about toughness, I think we have 4 things in toughness. As a table, we are coaches, but coach is teacher. So, because we are working with youth, maybe Ivica, can be coach tactic, because he has senior team here in this academy. But we are teachers, coaches, teachers. And when we are talking about toughness, we are talking about technical toughness. We have table, technical toughness, tactical toughness, physical toughness, and mental toughness. Okay? 4 things are important. If one thing is missing, this table will go down. And we need to build up our players in our academy in this way. I'm following as a mentor and as a coach teams from under 12 till under 23 boys. And I can see that you are working on this. And you are in great situation because you have possibility to work with psychologists together, with great coaches who are strength and conditioning coaches, basketball coaches. You have great leaderships. And also we try to do something as a mentor here. So we need to work as a staff to build up our players to be stronger as possible, individually and as a team. In this way, then we can be successful. And in the end, we will have players for our senior team, under 20, 23, or boys and girls the same. So I think that it's important to work as a team and to work together. And the same way, we need to transmit our energy. And my experience with you is that you are working on this. I'm not following mini basketball, but from under 12 and up, all ages, coaches are really great support, a great approach to build up these players. And then in the end, your teams are successful. Like last season, we were fighting during the season with different teams and so on. There was also some difficulties, but in the end, teams were successful. And from these teams, there were many national team players from Hungary. So let's go on in this direction, and I think that academy, you as a coaches, players, your teams will be successful. This was a little surprise for me now because I want to see and to hear from the behind, so I didn't expect this, but I hope I explained my emotion to you, and I'm always in this way. Emotional, and you are emotional too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, yes, please.
Fabio, do you mind if you tell a secret to them?
Secret?
We will see, we will see. So honestly, last week when Bonnie and me prepared the presentation for today, we only knew what the main topics that Fabio wants to talk about. And the first discussion about it was yesterday afternoon. And it was so great to see that when it came to these topics, basically we had the same meaning that we wanted to represent you. This is the psychology side, the scientific side, and that is this experienced coaches side. So it's so nice to see them together. Yeah. So thank you.
So this was our first webinar of the Center of Basketball Education and Methodology. I think we had great presenters, great coaches, and very knowledgeable presentations. Thank you very much for your attention. We will continue for sure, and continue asking us questions. Contact us if you have any comments or ideas, new ideas. We are always open for new ideas. Thank you very much.